Welcome everybody to the United Stand. My name is Levin2K and I'm excited to bring you the fan forum today on a day where, as fans, we are all incredibly excited. You can see the three incredibly beautiful gentlemen on the screen with me. And look, you know, they're all looking at one guy, right? Because today was Ronaldo Day. You know, Jay, I saw you talking about how it felt like Christmas Day. Yesterday felt like Christmas Eve, that excitement you have as a kid, and you can see everyone spamming the C's in the chat. Old Trafford was doing a bunch of C's in the game because Ronaldo scored a brace. We won 4-1. There's plenty to talk about in terms of just how exciting things are. We were talking off camera about plenty, right? When you're looking at our attacking options, you know, the depth we have in the squad, how Ollie now manages these things. We are in for a long, but hopefully a fun season. I want to know from all of you guys to start off with, what will you remember from Ronaldo Day? This is CR7 Day. What are you taking away from this day? We'll start with you, Kev. You know, you got the man behind you.
Yes, what a beautiful specimen of a man. I'm telling you, man, I've got a man crush on this man. To see him come back for his second debut, the second homecoming, I mean, that was... And honestly, I was going to say I can't put it into words, but that would sound really bad because obviously I've got to try and put it into words. It was just amazing, right? We knew that Ronaldo was coming back to United, everything behind it. We know he's not the same player that when he left, this, you know, winger, you know, all over the place and that. But at the end of the day, he stuck the ball in the net twice, right? We've had haters, we've had all these pundits going on, the likes of Trevor Sinclair. He was on his way. I was just reading through the tweets of what Trevor Sinclair said, right? He's on his way to Man City. And this is what Man City needed, a top-class number 9. They'll put the ball in the net. He'll win City the Champions League. Day after signs for Man United. Well, his legs might tire. He won't be able to play every game. Have a bit of that, Trevor Sinclair. He's just scored 2 goals against Newcastle. That's the difference, right, in a world-class player. There'll be rival fans looking at this and going, wow, you know, these are the games we drew last season. We struggled in. You know, it had 0-0 written all over it. And Newcastle were getting right on my tits anyway. 5 minutes into the match, time wasting. The goalkeeper was time wasting after 5 minutes into the game. That sets the tone for the game. But listen, Ronaldo, whether you think he's man of the match or whatever, it doesn't. Today was all about Ronaldo. I can talk about the Bruno Fernandes goal was absolutely sensational. The fact that Jesse Lingard come on, got his goal. You know, it's such a good vibe. And the fact that it was Rafael Varane's first game at Old Trafford. You know, let's not forget about that. Positional play today, thought he was really good. And listen, the feel-good factor, the atmosphere, I'm gutted it wasn't Old Trafford, even though I look like I'm at Old Trafford here with Ronnie. Honestly, it's very rarely that I'm kind of speechless, but I don't know what else to say. It's emotional more than anything because it is very rare that you see a player leave Manchester United and come back. I know in the past, the likes of Mark Hughes has in that, but for Ronaldo to come back at this age, reinvent himself as a footballer, stick the ball in the net twice today, that's what we brought him back for. The feel-good vibe is there, and teams will now fear coming to Old Trafford, and we've not had that since Sir Alex Ferguson left. A lot of these teams turned up and thought, we can have a right go here today. But you look at that team sheet today, you're stood in the tunnel looking at these players and you're like, these mean business. You know, we've done the job, man. I'm ready to celebrate big time.
Yeah, I love that. Look, we got a chat from DP who said, surprising how a single player changes the aura. Alex, what did you make of everything today? The aura felt different, right? It did feel different, do you know what I mean, in the stadium. Even though I wasn't there and you weren't there, it did just feel different. Everything about today feels different.
Well, first of all, we'll have to start off with a but yeah, oh God, what a performance. I was really worried in the first half of, like, you had even Alan Saint-Maximin so deep defending, and I was like, I've seen this script so many times with United that just teams absolutely park the bus, and it was really worrying. But as soon as Ronaldo scored his first goal, I was like, okay, we'll end up battering them now. But then obviously you had the warning signs when they scored. But the thing that was ridiculous, Kev touched on it earlier about the goalkeeper wasting time. They were 1-0 down and he was still time wasting. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And the amount of times he did it and the ref didn't book him was pathetic. But Kev touched on a lot of stuff in terms of like the goal scorers and stuff. But one thing I wanted to touch on, what we were talking about earlier, is the fact that Pogba now is on 7 assists in 4 games, which I think he is really now showing his best form and what we signed him for. And with players like Ronaldo, with Cavani, with Sancho, with Greenwood, with Rashford, with Bruno, those assists are just going to keep climbing. I think the record is 20 off the top of my head, I think. And I think it's KDB has it. So we're 4 games in and he's nearly at the halfway point. So I think he'll have that target in mind. And it was just a brilliant performance in the end. The goal kind of annoyed me, but then in the sense you can't really be too disheartened about the goal because we had to take such a risk of pushing so many. Like when Maguire got run past, he was in their half. And that's what we had to do. We just had to push everyone up because of how many men they were putting behind the ball. Like I said, St. Maximin was so deep and it was just... I mean, you can't really blame a team like Newcastle for playing like that, but it was worrying. But Ronaldo, what can we say? It just seems, I put a tweet out the other day and it just seems so weird that he left the club, let alone signed. He left the club when I was a teenager, like just fresh out of school going to university. I remember watching him in university as a teenager, and I'm now 31 with 2 kids. And he's playing again and scoring again. That wasn't even when he signed as a teenager. That was when he left us with a Ballon d'Or. I was a teenager. And now he's come back and scored a brace. It is just insane. And he'll probably bag another 1 or 2 or 3 against young boys as well. So long may it continue. And to people like what Kev was saying, just to finish off, Paul Merson was another one that was saying stuff about like, oh yeah, he's not going to be able to handle the physicality. He's too old. This is the same tired old lines that they pushed out about Zlatan and were made to eat their words. And Ronaldo is like just as much, if not more, of a specimen than Zlatan. So it was never in doubt to me that he was going to tear this league up because Zlatan did. And I knew Zlatan would.
And Cavani as well. How many
Cavani as well.
When United signed Cavani, oh, it's a panic buy, it's this, that, his legs have gone, this, that, Yeah,
but look at Lewandowski as well, and there's the 30, like 34, 35 and stuff. It means nothing these days. It's not the 90s anymore.
No. Yeah.
Well, look, Alex, there's another Alex, not you, Alex. Another Alex in chat said, Jay's about to go crazy. I can see it. Jay, I'm just going to hand it to you. Give it to me.
Well, firstly, guys, the only pundits in the UK that I give any credence to is Gary Neville and Roy Keane. Roy Keane because he's Irish, and Neville because I respect him as a player and as a pundit. But the rest of them, they just look at you making a living still from the game. So, like Trevor Sinclair, whatever he says about Ronaldo or any top-class player, I take a pinch of salt. I have no credence on any of those ex-pros. Just because you made a living from the game does not mean you're qualified to speak about the game now. So, Talk Sport and all the other outlets that have been slagging off Ronaldo, and it shows lack of professional pride for me, that the only thing you can say is a negative, so therefore, you get sound bites. So I have issue with that. So rant over. First of all, Mr. Ashford, I'm annoyed with you. I thought we had a bromance going, and now I've been replaced by Ronaldo. What's all that about?
Seriously, bro. Mate, I'm about to move it round slightly, but this
seriously, man,
is the main man of my life now, and you are second. But do not take any offense. Do not feel that is a bad. Being second to Cristiano Ronaldo, Jay, is not a bad thing, mate.
I'd take it.
And Kevin Ashford even did a fresh blow dry, I can see, for the occasion. You never do hear from me. What's that about?
But I'll tell you the truth. Well, I'm actually off out straight after this. It was my 10-year wedding anniversary in the week. So
I saw your picture on Instagram, looking very fresh faced.
So
guys,
look at me.
Yeah, I saw the picture. I was like, Jesus, Kevin got cheekbones. Kevin has cheekbones and probably abs back then.
Speaking of pictures on Instagram, Jay, bloody hell.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Hey, it's what I do, baby. It's what I do. But look, guys, football players these days, back to the general point that we're going to make, is an athlete can age like a fine wine with proper sports science backup and strength conditioning. And you guys mentioned Zlatan, Lewandowski. You've seen a picture of Lewandowski. Like what they're doing in Bayern Munich, I want down in it because Jesus Christ, they're monsters. They're monsters. That's a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
Now, guys, I don't want to get serious here and political because we're going to discuss Man United, but there's a lot more to that story, but we might do another show. But to the point is, players these days can play to late 30s without a problem, as long as they look after their bodies, eat right, sleep right, and prepare themselves mentally, game in, game out. They can plan their career. So this narrative from our learned ex-player pundits, Ronaldo can't respond to the pace of the English game. That's bullshit. Today, guys, the first 10 minutes, there was an exchange of passes out on the left with Jadon Sancho. And then Ronaldo goes into the box and starts doing step overs like he did back in his debut back in the day. You know, and that's something we haven't seen from Ronaldo in a long time. I think that was just, I still have this in my locker. And then I thought after that, then the rest of the game, Ronaldo went into his fox in the box, the predator around the penalty spot. And that is what we've signed. I don't know if you remember the movie Predator back from the 80s. All the big actors were in it, Stallone, Carl Weathers, and the Predators taking them out one by one. This season, Ronaldo will take out centre-backs like the Predator. Okay, centre-backs in Premiership, beware. We have the quintessential GOAT, fox in the box, icing the striker, the Predator, and today was Return of the Mac. And we are going, we now, guys, as fans, have front row seats to the second coming of Ronaldo. And guys, I'll share your thoughts. I am all in it. I can't wait. What a lot of fans would probably overlook today, on Twitter especially, and on what I've seen in the live chat, Mason Greenwood was instrumental in the first goal. And he was also instrumental in the goal that Ronaldo got. Sorry, Bruno scored. We got a fast break from a kick out from De Gea. Greenwood got the ball, held the ball up, laid it off to Pogba. Pogba knocks it to Bruno. Bruno knocks him 30-odd yards. So a lot of fans won't pick up today on how good Mason Greenwood was. But for me today, Mason Greenwood was instrumental in 2 goals. And so I don't want this just to become the Ronaldo show. We are all delighted he's back. But we cannot win a title just on one player. But we can lose it on that midfield, which we'll discuss later, Levin.
He really is becoming like undroppable. I was saying to Levin before the game about before the show, about how I put out that tweet last season about when Sancho signs, it's not Mason getting dropped, and it really isn't now him getting dropped. He in his last 12 games, he has 9 goals, 2 assists at 19 years old. It would be mental to drop him. The politics may play a part with Sancho costing that much, and obviously Rashford's one of Ollie's favourites. But Mason, learning off Cavani, learning off Ronaldo, this kid is literally going all the way to the very top.
Well, that was another media-driven story, was the fact of when United brought Ronaldo in. Like, it was all right, you know, when it looked like he was signing for City. Like I just touched on Trevor Sinclair. Brilliant, you know, the next step to winning the Champions League. But then when he goes to United, everybody looks for the negatives. And one of the main negatives was, will this block the path or the route of Mason Greenwood? And at the time I said, will it? Do you know what I mean? He's going to be training with Ronaldo every day. And that proves it today, the fact that they played in the same team. There is room for the 2 of them in that team. He's not going to take his space, Ronaldo.
To play devil's advocate with regards to the City versus United thing, I think, like, obviously 3 of United's main attackers are English. And whereas City, they have Sterling, but he's not going to. He's already dropped, and then like Foden. Whereas like they feel like Mason Greenwood probably is like the heir apparent to Harry Kane, so they're probably going to be more like protective of him because they want him to be playing more. But also it is just the agenda of like the storyline, like some of the stuff like the court case suddenly coming up now as soon as he signed for Ronaldo, and these same people were silent. They were silent for years. And then suddenly, and it's the same with rival fans, they haven't said anything about that for years since it came out. And then suddenly he signs for United, and then suddenly they've got a moral compass. It's pathetic.
Yeah, we know what the media will do. We know how they're going to try and paint the narrative. What I do want to ask you, though, because we are sort of on the topic of some of the other players in the squad. And like Jay said, I think it's very important that we don't just become the Ronaldo show this season, because one, we have so much talent that it doesn't need to just be the Ronaldo show. Coming into this game, when that lineup came out, I saw lots of conversation about how that might be our best starting lineup, right? And that is probably the best team we could field. I do want to know, after we've seen 90 minutes of play, do you guys think that is our best starting lineup? I want to get your opinions, from all of you, and what it is you would potentially change, or what you didn't like about the lineup today. We'll start with we'll go with Jay. Why not?
Look, Twitter met us down no matter what lineup Solskjaer picks, and that's just the nature of social media. So we just accept that for is what it is. Today, guys, I love the fact that Sancho was out on the left. Greenwood kept his place, which we've obviously espoused his virtues. I don't want to see Mason Greenwood dropped for Jadon Sancho or for Marcus Rashford or anybody. I don't want to see him drop. He's in form. So I like today, there was a nice link-up play between Luke Shaw and Jadon. I like that. And obviously, first half, Matic sitting very, very deep. He ran the game the first half, but as we've said on many shows, after 60, 65 minutes, Matic does tend to run out of legs. I thought Pogba, for me, set too deep today, but was that for the fact that he protect Matic a little bit? So the starting 11, I had no issue with personally whatsoever. Is it our best starting 11? That's open to debate. But the one thing I will say is that once Matic tired, for me, the only player personally that I would bring on was Donny van de Beek. Now, I know Lingard came on and he scored, but he made a lot of mistakes before that, which we may go into if we have time. So Solskjaer is still going to play his favourites no matter what. And this thing with Donny, I know, but you're tossing it, guys, but it's become a little bit toxic for me. You've got certain elements of the fan base that are, no matter what Solskjaer does, he can't put a foot wrong. And they can't see wood from the trees. For me today, no question, Donny should have come on for Tyron Matic. I really do believe that. The goal that we'll go into, obviously Maguire, the very fact that Maguire is pushing so far forward is testament to the fact that we have Varane. And we said in previous shows, we've got no issue with winning 4-3 or 3-2, whatever. We are going to lead goals if Maguire is going to push that far forward. Should Varane have done better with the tackle for the shot went in? That's open to debate.
It was 2v1 though, to be fair.
Yeah,
but look, it's open to debate. But like, I felt Maguire maybe could have done better. Again, it's all if buts and maybes. Here we are, guys. We're picking holes in a 4-1 defeat, whereas normally we're on these shows and we are losing our shit because we've got a 1-1 or 0-0. But today, because we have the GOAT, that is Ronaldo, we're discussing a 4-1. But there is a question 11. I've got no problems with starting 11 today. It's an 11 that I would like to see again and again and again. However, we know Matic can't play every week. And Fred, let's be fair, guys, he's going to come back very, very soon, probably against young boys. And that changes again.
Well, it's interesting you say that, right? Because, you reference the goal, and I'm sure we'll talk about the goal a bit later, we'll sort of move through the game, as a timeline kind of thing. But if anything, when you do look at the goal, if they were ever going to score a goal in Newcastle, that would have been the way they did it, right? Because a pivot of Pogba and Matic is vulnerable in transition. And once they played the ball through that line, Maguire did try to overcompensate and it cost us, right? So if anything, that's why, similar to CJ, I'm not looking at that goal and going, because that was sort of the only thing that they had going for them, especially that lineup. Alex, I've seen you, shaking your head a bit. I don't think you think it's the best lineup we have. And we talked a bit off camera, but I do want you to fight your case, because you don't think this is our best lineup.
I was going to say, did you want to get into it again from the talk before the show about...
Go!
Seconds out, round 2.
I'll get rinsed in the comments.
Ding.
I'll get rinsed in the comments, but I couldn't care less because I've said this already on the show last year, and and this was before we even signed him, that... Okay, I'll just say it anyway, that when eventually everyone's fit, Rashford is better than Sancho. I don't care what anyone says. I've seen them so many times. Okay, Sancho in the Bundesliga versus Rashford in the Premier League last year when he was carrying an injury, you could say Sancho was better. But I see them every single time when they play for England together against the same opposition with the same teammates. So I know who is a better player. and you will see. You can clip me up or whatever, because you will see by the end of the season who the better player is. The only thing that worries me isn't Rashford, because I think he's one of Ollie's favourites, and I think Sancho, as a big money signing, he will get in the team. The one that I worry about is that they'll drop Mason, even though I think, and you actually agreed with me, Levin, in terms of talent, he's the most talented of the three. So in terms of our best team, I would have it as Rashford, Ronaldo, Greenwood. But then I understand that people will then say, okay, lack of creativity, etc., but all three of them want to score. So that's why you have to move Bruno into a different role than he normally plays, because a lot of the time he does actually tend to be not necessarily a striker, but when Cavani was playing last season, he would be further forward than Cavani a lot of the time. But he is a brilliant creative player. He created the most chances in the league last season while playing in that position. So if we move him a little bit deeper and Pogba pushes forward, we can create so many chances. But we are in this situation, which we all said before the start of the summer, the main position we needed, more than a right winger, more than a centre-back, more than bringing back our greatest ever player, was a centre defensive midfielder. So now Matic played today. I think if we had Matic from 5 years ago when we first signed him, we win the league. Flat out. Like, I don't think anyone can really deny that. If we have prime Matic, we win the league with this team, because that is the main position we lack. So now you have to ask the question, who is the player we bring in? So Van der Beek, like Jay was saying, he could have come on, but he says he can play 6. But do any of you feel that confident of playing a midfield of Van der Beek, Pogba and Bruno? I think that leaks a lot of goals, even if we do have an improved defence. So then it comes down to Fred or McTominay, and I think I trust McTominay in that position more, simply because he actually listens to instructions. He's like another like Fellaini. Do you remember like Fellaini? Why so many managers love Fellaini is because you tell him what to do, you tell him a task, and he'll stick to that task. And that's exactly what McTominay will do. Don't get me wrong, McTominay's best position is an 8, bombing forward and making those runs, and he's a real goal threat. But I feel like out of the midfielders we have, because realistically, unless we sign someone in January, then we're going to have to use the players we have for the rest of the season. So I would just think we need to try to adapt McTominay to that role, because otherwise I don't see how Pogba and Bruno work in the same team. And I think on that subject, I was thinking about it earlier today. It's fine playing them two in this team with when you play against teams like Newcastle, Norwich, Brentford, teams like that. But I feel like when we come against Man City or Chelsea or Liverpool, we're going to have to go back to McFred, and then you have the issue that you're going to have to drop Pogba or Bruno, in my opinion, because we can't play Pogba on the wing, I don't think, in a game like that. I would be happy with him in Bruno's position in that game. So you swap Pogba out for Pogba in Bruno's position, but I don't think you can play Pogba on the wing, because we're going to be, realistically, how Ollie plays against these teams, we're going to hit them on the counter. So I feel like it will be Rashford or Sancho on that left-hand side instead of Pogba. So I don't know what you guys think on that.
You said a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. What you said. You went through a couple of different storylines there. So I want to rewind a bit. Because you made some great points, to be fair. I do want to rewind a bit, because obviously you talked about Sancho and how in your best possible lineup it wouldn't be Sancho, it would be Rashford. The one thing I'd say to that, given my opinion, is I get that, because obviously I guess in terms of right now, when you're looking at Sancho's form, he's not lit the world on fire.
I'm not basing it off this form. That would be way too harsh. I'm not basing it. I'm basing it off what I've seen them play together in the same team. Okay,
and what I'd say to you on that, right, is you sort of almost alluded to it, which is a bit surprising to me. I thought you would get it since you sort of referenced it. But when you look at our team, right, and creatively what has gone on over the past year or so, right, a lot of it, almost everything, is through Bruno Fernandes, right? Like I don't know many people who follow the NBA, right? If any of you do, there's a stat in the NBA where it's like usage rate, and it basically measures like how much a player like has the ball and they use the ball, how much they need to have the ball in their hands to be effective, almost, right? And if that was in football, I'm sure Bruno would lead the Premier League, right? Like he very much, someone who needs a lot of touches, everything sort of goes through him. And that's sort of how it works with the number 10 role. And it's why a lot of teams in modern football don't actually play that position anymore. I saw a stat that was like, of all number 10s with more than 900 minutes in the Premier League last season, it was like, Bruno was like basically the only one, like only relevant player there. Because like lots of teams don't do it, right? Because you rely so heavily on that player. And the idea with Sancho is that he comes in and he takes off that creative load, right? Because, primarily he wants to be a creator. That's what he does. Now, what I'll say about Sancho when I've watched him for Dortmund versus when I've watched him for United so far is my biggest worry with him was that he doesn't look as comfortable. And he didn't feel like, it didn't look like he had that sort of freedom that he did when I watched him for Dortmund. And also, there's times when he's like, in terms of chemistry, it doesn't seem like he very much understands a lot of the people he's around, right? And mainly I was talking about Bruno when I was saying that. Today with Ronaldo, there was some good passes in between him and Ronaldo. Even with Luke Shaw, there was some good link-up play there. With Bruno, a lot of the time, you almost see it, right? When, in the Wolves game, you saw it where they're literally shouting at each other, not in an angry way, but you can see Bruno will be like, yo, move
yeah,
there.
he told him off, didn't he?
You know what I mean? Like, he'll tell him off, and there's times where they run into the same place, and I think once they get a better understanding of each other, you will see, something much better out of the two of them. Sancho looked a bit confident, looked a lot more confident in clips I saw on Twitter and whatnot today. Before the Ronaldo stepovers that you mentioned, Jay, Sancho had his own stepovers, right? That was like the start of the clip that I saw. So, you very, very much, I think he's starting to get more into his own element. And you sort of alluded to it as well, where it's like, because he's a £70 million signing, he is going to get given opportunities to warm up into things. And I think he deserves that, right? We talk about the Bundesliga all the time, and I agree. The Bundesliga to me is not the highest standard of football. You look at it, teams play with high lines. There's a lot more open space, you know what I mean? And, we saw where Werner and Havertz sort of struggled, or Werner definitely struggled.
So
Havertz, it's taken a year, right? It's taken a year for Havertz, and Havertz is a player now in the Premier League, right? So I will say, I'm not just saying to you when I say this, but to people who maybe have their doubts on Sancho, it will take time. It will take more time. We don't know how much time, but I wouldn't write him off yet.
But it's more for the long term, isn't it, with Sancho? If you can see the vision of what Solskjaer's trying to bring in, and we break it down, we know for a fact that this is Cavani's last season. He's not going to be there after this season. Enjoy this man while you can as well, because, at the best, we're probably going to get 2, if you get the extended year, depending on how it goes. So more long-term, you're looking at Jadon Sancho, and it's a great headache. Alex, I take your point, and I know where you try to steer that. It's almost like you're probably trying to say, did we really need to buy Jadon Sancho? We could have invested that money in a defensive midfielder, which what we are crying out for. And do you know what? I kind of agree with that. I can look at it and go, well, that 70-odd million we paid for Sancho, if you could have got Declan Rice, let's just say, for argument's sake, out of West Ham for that same fee, then the way the team is at the minute, the likes of Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, Ronaldo, it's a great headache to have up front. But I totally get that point of that money could, have been invested in an area that a lot of us fans look at and think that's where we should have invested the money.
What I'd say to that though is, and I recorded my match reaction, so for people who haven't watched that, go check that out after you watch this, right? But there was something glaringly obvious, right? We're sitting here and like Jay said, I keep referencing Jay because he was coming out with bangers, but it's a 4-1. So, when you're analysing things, you sort of almost grasping at straws. The only thing to me that was a very obvious sort of tactical decision that never was adjusted throughout the game was that there needed to be a switch up on the right-hand side. And not because, Greenwood's not a great player, and I'm not going to sit here and criticize Wan-Bissaka a lot, even though I do think he needs to improve on the ball and whatnot, and I tweeted that as well. When you have Ronaldo, who's someone who likes to drift to that far post, he likes to drift a bit left, we needed somebody on the right-hand side who was going to whip in balls first time and really catch defenders out, right? We didn't have that, and that's not the kind of player Greenwood is. He's much better at other things. Wan-Bissaka isn't that. He takes a couple too many touches. It allows the defenders to sort of adjust, and they have that time. Whether that is you bring on Delo or whether that is you move Sancho to the right, where that's where, a lot of us thought Sancho was coming into play. We all sort of said, yeah, he's coming in to fix the problems on the right-hand side. I wanted to see, him allow Greenwood and Sancho to switch, right? So that Greenwood would go over to the left where he could still do what he does, where he cuts inside and whatnot, and he can go on either foot because left foot, right foot, Greenwood does it all. Or you have Sancho on the right who allows you to play those sort of balls into Ronaldo. And I feel like he could be much more effective there because at the moment, as much as we were good today, we still almost had that problem that we had last season where teams were neglecting us on the right-hand side. Like, defenders are looking at Wan-Bissaka out there. They're like, yeah, man, just leave my man. Like, he's not really going to do nothing to us, right? So that's where I wanted to see a change made. And I at long time, I don't want to see Sancho on the left, even though you can play there. You can play on the left, through the middle, on the right. I think I want to see him play more on the right and see what impact he has there before I make, judgments on him.
He ain't getting the team on the right, I can tell you that.
This is why I think a lot of us have said, I've stated the honeymoon period for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's over this season. He needs to deliver. But the main thing is trying to keep these players happy. It was a great thing of Sir Alex Ferguson. You look at the 99 season. I mean, how did he keep Cole, York, Sheringham and Solskjaer happy? You've got literally 4 strikers there. And now he's assembled this team. And my only criticism of Solskjaer has always been in-game management, not making changes at the right time. But the main thing now is it's almost like false promises. We talk about Donny van der Beek. He's got on for 6 minutes today. If you're Donny van der Beek, you think, all right, nice one. Thanks, Ollie, kind of thing. But it's going to be how he rotates and keeps it. There's no point saying to Jesse Lingard, yes, you're part of my plans. Come back from West Ham. We're keeping you here. There's a lot of players there that he's whether it's false promises, he needs to now manage it. It's going to be really difficult, I think, to keep all these players happy. Some players walk straight to the team, don't they?
Did you see Lingard the other day? I know it's against Andorra or whatever it was, but he was flipping class. And so I said before he has it. No, but okay, but then I said before that game, I'm not okay, but I said before that game that he has a part to play this season, and then he came on today and scored, and it wasn't remotely surprising to anyone that has followed Lingard's career of how good he can be.
Let's rewind. Let's just go back on to earth here, okay? We won 4-1. Fantastic. We still have 34 games to go. Lingard, come on. Yeah. To his credit, took his goal well. Another assist by Pogba. Pogba now has 7 assists. And division by Martial. Let the ball go through his legs, which opened up the defence. And Lingard took his goal well. However, 73rd minute, Kevin, you love this. Willock dispossessed Lingard in the box after a passionate play where Ronaldo made a reception that cut off a counter-attack, passed to Bruno passed to Lingard loses the ball. Lingard, for me, was caught in possession today 3 times from my saw. Okay?
Show us a notebook, Jay.
Great. Okay. Same one as last season. It is with the sofa.
The busted sofa.
The bus sofa. So, yeah, and right now we've got Fred sitting firmly on that sofa beside my old friend Victoria Lindesoft, haven't we? Sitting together sharing the sofa today. Anyway, look, I think you have to discount Lingard turning up against Andorra. Let's be fair. Come on. All right? Kevin Ashford and I could turn up against Andorra and put in the performance. It's Andorra. Let's be fair.
But yeah,
right?
but there were other players that of similar level that didn't turn up.
Like who?
Like, I'm trying to think back to the game, but we played a lot of strong people. Like Lingard, even though Saka got man of the match, Lingard was better than Saka, better than Bamford. Okay, he should be better than Bamford. Who else did we play? I'm trying to think who else we played. Bellingham, but I really rate Bellingham. But yeah, so he did play well. He played brilliant. And Andorra parked it and Newcastle parked it. You don't think Lingard's good enough to destroy a team like Newcastle in the same way? Okay, look,
I'd love if we played Newcastle every week, because if we played a team that have Newcastle week in, week out, we win the title. No question about it. No question about it today. Newcastle parked the bus, and the first goal came from the work by Greenwood on the right. Shot comes in, and Ronaldo is anticipating there's going to be a mistake, there's going to be a spill, I'm going to be thereabouts, capitalise. I think the ball came off, was a Kieran Clark shin, in comes Ronaldo and scores. Okay? And we already discussed the hold-up play with Greenwood that was instrumental in Bruno's goal. So we have a fox-in-the-box predator in Ronaldo. We said at the start of the show that can anticipate mistakes by the defence and is almost going to be there or thereabouts, and I'm glad he's there. However, Alex. I take your point about Lingard's coming on today and scoring. Took his goal well. I give him credit for that. However, I would have liked to see Donny van Beek come on today for Matic when Matic tired. If Donny van de Beek is only going to be seen by Donny as a bit part player, we have to accept that. He could go in January. But Jesus, lads, bring him on after an hour or 70 minutes and let Van de Beek have some effect on the game. Bring him on 10 minutes to go. It's disrespectful. We could have brought him on instead just Lingard for Matic, and that midfield would have been a lot more solid towards the last quarter of the game. For me, that's just my view on it, Alex.
But Jay, do you get why he doesn't? No, go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, and I know we've had this debate last season, but honestly, the way some people go on about Van der Beek, you'd think he was like prime Zidane or something. Like he has shone in some games. Like what was it like? Was it Wolves last season when like one of the last games of the season when him and Matic played together? And he has had some good glimpses, and that one assist where he backheeled it in like the FA Cup or something. But aside from that, you have to take your chances when you get them. And like the way people go on about Van der Beek, and it's simply because it's not because Van der Beek is so good. It's because they don't want McTominay or Fred in the team. So, and that is literally what it is. If we had like someone on Pogba and Bruno's level to play next to Pogba and Bruno, no one would care that Van der Beek never plays. It's simply because of Fred and McTominay. I know he hasn't had a chance, but at the same time, you have to take your chance. You have to take your chance.
I think he has. Whenever Van der Beek has actually played, to me, if he started a game, what was it, the Champions League, Leipzig, games like that, I've actually seen him controlled, and that you watch him in that game and you think, this is what we brought him to the club for. Next week, out the team.
But you have to think, and I agree, he hasn't had enough chances. But in my opinion, the people he's competing with are Bruno and Pogba, because you can't play all three of them together. In my opinion, you have to have one of Fred, McTominay, or Matic. And I know people don't rate them, and I don't particularly like them playing in that position either. But I think with his play style, you have to swap out Pogba or Bruno, and Pogba and Bruno are levels above him.
No, I can't disagree with that. But again, this goes back to my point of man management wise. There's rumours that Donny van der Beek could have gone to Everton on loan, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer turned that down and said, no, he's part of my plans. Well, I've not seen anything this season. I've not seen anything this season to suggest that Donny van der Beek is part of Solskjaer's plan. So what is he doing, man? Is he just
it'll be the EFL Cup game against West Ham.
Happy times, and then you're like, right, well, when are you going to play me? Like, play me.
I said the West Ham game, and the EFL Cup game, and he'll be like, look, I gave you a start there. Be happy.
Yeah. No, look, I get where you're coming from, Alex, because the reality is, I said that at the start of the day as well, because I saw people going mad that Van der Beek wasn't starting, and I was like, where's he going to start? Exactly. Ollie has literally said what he thinks Van der Beek is. Van der Beek has said, he's a number 6 or whatever, he can play there. But what people fail to understand is when Ollie says Van der Beek is a 6 and a 2, he specifically says a 6 and a 2 because it has to be a 2, because in that 2, Van der Beek is the one that goes forward, right? And, I don't think there's any manager on earth who would play a pivot of Donny van der Beek and Pogba. You'd get exposed in transition. Defensively, you would. I know people think, do you know what's actually funny about that? I noticed right before we started, when you look at average position of everybody, so far in that game, right? Obviously, Van der Beek only played like 6 minutes or whatever, but he was actually the furthest person forward in terms of average position of anyone, right? He isn't this guy that is like some deep lying player. His best qualities are him getting forward in a similar way to how, we talk about McTominay and how his best qualities are when he's going forward, right? The difference between McTominay and Van der Beek in that sense is that McTominay has shown more defensive discipline in games to Ollie, right? Where he will do a good job of covering Fred, right? Because you always have to cover Fred. He's always making some sort of a mistake. Whereas Van der Beek, doesn't do that. Van der Beek is always that one that's driving forward. And so, as much as Jay, you mentioned, I wanted to see Van der Beek come on for Matic. The reality is that the manager doesn't see him as that kind of a player, because the reality is Van der Beek isn't a holding midfielder. He can play as a 6 and a 2, but he's a hybrid 6 where he's more so an 8, the one that's getting forward. not a holding midfielder. And some of the issues we saw with Matic, you know, when he started to get a bit tired and we were getting burnt in transition and stuff, and you know how they even scored their goal, right? You have those same issues with Van der Beek because he's higher up the pitch than Matic would be. So he's having to track back more than Matic would have to be. That's why Van der Beek doesn't play in that position. Now, on the other side, if I'm playing devil's advocate as well, because he doesn't get a chance, because he's not going to get ahead of Pogba or Bruno, let's just face that. Like, the only chances he has is like today when, you know, Oli decides, yeah, I'll take Bruno off before the end of the game. Those are the only kind of chances he has. So what can he do? Can he evolve his game to become a holding midfielder? I think it's his best shot, right? If he wants to play consistently, like if he wants a chance at starting, that's his best shot. But I don't think there's any problem. Like if Ollie's actually going to use Van der Beek as a sub player who, you know, he brings on regularly, I don't have a problem with that. Like if he's getting consistent football, like, you know, we were talking about Cavani before the start of the show, Alex. Cavani started half the games he played last season, but no one's complaining about his minutes, right? Van der Beek, if Van der Beek is just being used as a sub and he's getting regular minutes as a sub, then he starts some games, right? Like the Young Boys game, for example, or Carabao Cup games, or whatever it is. If he's getting minutes as a sub and he's starting here and there, I don't think people would complain. I think people have complaints because they don't like what we have in holding midfield in position, and they see a quality midfielder. Because at the end of the day, Van der Beek is a quality midfielder. I watched him in the Champions League. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant footballer.
100%.
There is a few super chats there, Levin. Quickly, I don't know whether you want to they are based on what you're actually debating there, which is obviously to do with Donny Van der Beek. Obviously, the one that's up on the screen, Omar Marquez, hopefully I've got that name right, said, he played 5 minutes today. How can anyone prove themselves as a midfielder with that little time? Either use him or let him go. But Viva Ronaldo, so fair play for that one. I think there's one a bit further down. How can you take your chance if it's between 10 and 20 minutes? Which is something we've all picked up on. It's that old thing, isn't it? It's if you take a car out, you won't know what a car's like unless you take it for a test drive. It's almost like you've got a Ferrari parked in your garage and somebody says, "What's it like?" Oh shit. Oh, why did you take it out for a drive? Well, no, I've not actually took it out for a drive. I just got it parked up there. But
can I reply?
How do you know what that car's like unless you take it out for a test drive? And that's the one thing with Donny Van der Beek he's not had time to do.
I was just going to say, so I'll read it out. So Van der Beek can play against Real Madrid Champions League, but can't play against Newcastle. Alex, go and watch the Ajax team again in the Champions League. I know he can, but I think it now comes down to squad management, because in my eyes, it needs to be for Pogba or Bruno. I'm more than fine with Van der Beek starting games, and I think that Bruno and Pogba should actually get rested in certain games. Last season, towards the end of the season, it didn't happen with Pogba, but with Bruno, he got so burnt out, and his performances kind of went off a cliff to a certain extent towards the end of the season, because he was completely burnt out, that we played him in some ridiculous games that he didn't need to be played in. And I remember being on the show last season, and we would be in games where we would be I think the West Ham game actually springs to mind. I think it was in the Premier League. And we'd be absolutely dominated, and then bring Bruno on, and then we win the game. So, I can understand why Ollie's a bit scared. But this season now, with so much attacking firepower, that in some games it's fine. If you play against Norwich or whatever, you can drop Pogba, you can drop Bruno, and you play Van der Beek instead of them. But he just can't play instead of Fred McTominay or Matic. He just has to play instead of Bruno or Pogba. And there are games easily. It doesn't have to be EFL Cup or FA Cup games. He can play in Premier League games and Champions League games instead of them in certain games.
Shout out to Vignesh. He came in with a super chat saying he was trained and molded in Ajax in a mindset called total football. He's been trained to play 6, 8, and 10. At the end of the day, he's best suited to learn and adapt to a system. Ollie just doesn't want him. We got another super chat from Sahachi. Says, give Donny 20 minutes in the next 5 games and see the influence he has later. He deserves a few opportunities to fail. Worst players have had it here. And then we got another one from Louis. He says, Alex makes a good point. Ollie has to rotate Bruno and Pogba. Also, Bruno Fernandes played games at Sporting as a CDM. With that said, Bruno Fernandes, Van der Beek, Pogba is possible. Guys,
against certain teams, I think, not against anyone decent.
Look, I'll be honest. I'm getting tired about talking about Van der Beek just because I think, I think there's facts laid out there. I think there's reasons given. And I think some people don't want to hear them, and that's fine. At the end of the day, hopefully he gets a chance, because I think he's a brilliant footballer, and I want to see him playing more football. because I think there's a way to balance it a lot better than Ollie currently is. We'll move on though, because I'm sure there'll be more to talk about with Van der Beek. You know, we've spent how long talking about we've spent more time talking about Van der Beek than he played today. So, we'll move on from him.
It seems to be the case so many shows, and that's what I don't get, like, with him, that we talk about him so much, and everyone talks about him so much, but...
Yeah.
Because it's that baffling.
It is,
true. To some degree, yeah. Well, look, we basically covered most of what happened in the first half. I want to talk about that goal. I don't really want to talk about that goal. They were rubbish, man. Newcastle were rubbish. Time wasting, 5 minutes, whatever. I want to talk about, Lingard for a bit, right? Because Lingard was someone that came on and we touched on him briefly, but I think there's more to talk about there because I was somebody who, I was critical of the Lingard in the sense of, I see a good footballer. I see someone who's, good for England. He was good for West Ham. And to me, I didn't understand why he was staying at the team simply because I just didn't believe that Ollie was going to use him, right? Because he was here last year. Ollie didn't, give him a sniff, right? So for me, I just didn't believe he was actually going to get used. And in that sense, I was like, well, if you're not going to get used, big man, you might as well move on and go play week in, week out somewhere. From what Ollie said, though, when Ollie talks about how he would have started him, obviously bringing him on in this game, it's clear that Ollie does like Lingard and he intends on using him and bringing him on as a sub. And to me, when I look at that, look, because I do believe that he's a good Premier League footballer, if he's going to come on and have an impact as a substitute, look, I'm not going to complain about that if he's going to do what he did today where he's scoring goals or whatever and he's having a positive impact to some degree. What do you guys make of Lingard? Do you think that is, a suitable role for him and does it make sense in that, in that capacity? Or like Jay, because Jay, I know you said you weren't necessarily a fan because he was a bit error prone even in the short time he had. Do you think, he's still probably someone who should be far away from our team? I'll start with you, Kev. I like yours. Oh no, Jay, you want to continue?
If you don't mind,
Jay, when did you change it to top?
Yeah,
I was thinking that. I glanced at him earlier on.
Okay, there's a backstory, guys. In short, today is the All-Ireland football final. In Ireland, we got the sport called gay football, where you can kid ball your hands. A goal is 3 points, over the bar is 1 point. And Mayo, where I live, haven't won the All-Ireland since 1951. They've been to multiple finals, almost the bridesmaid, but never the bride. The last time they won, they were passing by some village and they wouldn't stop and pay their respects to a funeral. The parish priest put a curse on the team. You're going to love this, guys, right? A curse on the team that basically you're never going to win another title until every member of this team dies. They've been to about 10 finals since. They've never won. They're in the final today. So, guys, in the free seats, can you put in, if you're watching the game or if you're in Ireland, put in the score because I don't know what's happening. I'm not from Mayo. I'm from Limerick, but my kids are in Mayo. My partner's in Mayo, so I got to rip the jersey, okay? So that's why I had a costume change.
My whole family on my fiance's side from Mayo as well, as you know, Jay. So, come on, Mayo.
Half my mates actually, over there, Jay.
Are they? So, basically, in Ireland, what we say is we say Han as in H-O-N. It's basically, we say Han Mayo. That's what we would say. But I don't know the score, so I'm here blind.
Look, up the Mayo. I don't know anyone from Mayo, but I hope to make some friends from Mayo and join in on the I hope to join in on the excitement.
Back to the Lingard discussion. Look, we've done, obviously, we haven't done a rabbit hole now on Donny van de Beek. Right, and that wasn't part of our plans today, but that's just the benefits of going live. Look, Lingard, do any of you see Lingard as the player we should have in a title-winning team? I personally don't. Would a Man City, a Chelsea, or Liverpool sign him? That's a question for you guys. I personally don't think that. I don't think they would. I don't think Lingard gets into Liverpool or Chelsea or Man City as a backup. Okay, now he scored today in what the Americans call garbage time. The game is won. Newcastle had already put the white flag. He scored in garbage time today. And I know, Alex, you're a fan, and he scored 2 goals against the powerhouse that is Andorra. But until Lingard comes on as a sub and does it when the game is on the line against one of our top 6 rivals, okay, the jury for me is out Lingard. For me,
can I interrupt you?
He should have gone in the summertime. Of course you can.
And just ask. As say Bruno gets an injury, in like the 60th, 70th minute, and you have to bring on Van der Beek or Lingard, and you need a goal, who are you bringing on?
Donny.
Really? What
Yeah,
about you, Levin and Kev? Would you both bring on Van der Beek as well? Because I would bring on Lingard in a heartbeat over Van der Beek if we needed a goal.
I think I would go Lingard. I think more as a goal threat. I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, I think on current form, Lingard
Tyrone have just scored.
Sean. Really?
Tyrone, oh shit.
0-9.
That's 3.
0-9 for Bale, 1-10 for Tyrone.
That means it's 12 points to 9. Okay, thanks, Kevin. 12-9.
Up the mayo.
Up Mayo. I love it.
I think right now on current form, and obviously when I say on current form, I feel bad for saying that because what is Donny's form? He's not played. But in general, when you look at them, you'd have to say Lingard is definitely more of a goal threat. And so in that sense, yeah, you probably would bring on Lingard. Doesn't mean he's a better player. But
more
in terms of a
effective
goal
player,
threat.
Yeah, I would say if you're in the depths of a game and you're 1-0 down, it's 1-1, and you are looking to go for a goal, I would say that Lingard is probably more of a goal threat or might set something up rather than the playing style of Donny van der Beek. That's nothing against him. That's just my personal opinion, what I would say.
Okay.
No, and ultimately, there's more evidence for Lingard in that sense as well. Like,
just a question, guys, to put out there, okay? Would you take Lingard as a bit part player, hypothetically, to come on as a number 10 backup to Bruno, or hypothetically, in the transfer window, we should have got the 25-30 minutes for him and got in the likes of a Basuma? What would you have taken then?
Yeah, obviously we'd have rather done
that. And that is where, Alex, the problem lies.
But can I just quickly counter you and say, would you
go ahead.
To counter your question, would you have taken 40 million for Van der Beek and then bought Basuma?
Yeah.
Yeah, well then there you go. So
but then in that sense, why does it matter which one? Because it works for both of them, right?
Look,
we broke him.
Yeah,
I am far from broken, guys. I'm far from broken. Far from broken. Look, we can debate the CDM issue for 10 shows, but we know that this is just how our manager sets team up. He clearly rates Fred. I know, Kevin, you're a massive fan of Matomali, and that's totally up to you. But he's not a CDM; he's a box to box. I think we can all agree on that. So today, I just felt with 30 minutes to go, I'm not saying the game was getting away from us because it wasn't, but I just thought a better team in Newcastle in the last half hour will create new chances with the spaces that we afforded them in midfield. And for me, substitution was Donny on for Matic. For me, that's just my personal belief.
Okay. Well, I want to know from you, Kev, in that sense, is Lingard the kind of guy who you think, like what Lingard was today in terms of that role where he's someone you bring off the bench and you want him to bring in some, impact or do something. Do you think that's a good role for him? Can you see him doing that for us this season and us being successful?
Listen, if he wants to do it and he's happy, then fair enough. But I've always questioned Lingard, just his ambition. Now, listen, I know he's grown up in the youth team at Manchester United, gone through the academy and stuff. So his dream is to be at Manchester United. But I mean, I look at the player at West Ham when he went on loan at the back end of last season. There's people calling him, what was it? Messi Lingard. And
that name came at United, though, to be fair.
But it was unbelievable. You were literally watching him and going, this is the same player we've had. And then you're like, is it because he's not had a chance at Old Trafford? And I still subscribe to the fact that at Old Trafford, he's a little fish in a big pond. When he goes to West Ham, he's a big fish in a little pond and he stands out. They built that team around him. Jesse Lingard stood out at West Ham because technically he's a lot better than a lot of the players around him. Whereas at United, you've got Pogba, now you've got Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Greenwood, Rashford, Martial. He doesn't really stand out that much. And the thing that I have questioned is the fact that he hasn't moved. And then you look and go, well, why has he not signed this new contract then at United? To me now, he's going to run it down. He's almost holding United to ransom. It's almost like, we'll play me. If you don't play me, I'm going to see my contract out and leave for free. And then what? He'll probably end up at West Ham, where he get a ball of money, a signing on fee, all this. So I sort of look at United and think, why didn't they do this deal in the summer when they probably could have got 15 to 20 million for him? But no, again, the thing I'm trying to touch on is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer must have said to him, no, there's a place for you in this team. And we spoke about it weeks ago, where I look and go, well, where is the place? Levin, you just said it's coming in off the bench, substitute appearances and that. I don't see where he gets in starting. No disrespect to Jesse Lingard. It's just we have an embarrassment of attacking talent up there, and I really don't see where he gets in. But at the same time, listen, the spirits are getting picked up because we've had a fantastic result today, and all he can do is what he did today. He was told to come onto the pitch. He's come on, scored a fantastic goal. So in that case, you know, he's done brilliant, and that's all you can do. What I should be saying is we've got a player there that wants to actually fight to be in that team, and we've had a lot of shit players at United, ones that couldn't even be asked to be there. The likes of Di Maria, you know, that we knew never wanted to sign for United, would have signed for Paris. You know, you can look at players like that where we knew they were talented, but you need to wait up sometimes and go, well, do you know what? Fair play to Jesse Lingard. He's actually saying, I want to stick it out. I want to fight to get in this team. So,
look, you know, I think we've spent a lot of time talking about, you know, things related to the match and you know, a lot of things that we always find ourselves talking about when it comes to our team. I do want to go and do, you know, the match ratings again, because, you know, Mark has his match ratings, and, you know, I think last time we were on here, we all went around and we did it, and I enjoyed doing it. So I think we'll start off with the goalkeeper, David De Gea. You know, give me a rating out of 10, right? You know, let us know in the chat as well. Once again as well, I'll say before we move on to this, thank you for the super chats. Apologies if we've missed any. Keep them coming in. We want to know your opinion, what you made of the game. All right, David De Gea. Kevin.
What do we usually say? Is 6 average, or is it 5
average?
average?
Yeah, six is average. 6 is average.
I have no clue why 6 is average and not 5, but
7.
That's what I was going to give as well, because he did that one good save with the knuckle. But apart from that, he didn't really have much to do. He couldn't have done anything about the goal, so 7 as well.
Oh, steady.
He had a good long ball that was influential in the
actually,
goal.
good point. Good point, actually.
Jay?
We don't do 0.5s, do we?
Yeah, I think you got to give a solid 7. That save on the 66th minute from Liston and that long ball to Greenwood, which obviously contributed to Bruno's banger goal. You got to give him a solid 7. And I think that any debate about Henderson coming back shouldn't be a debate. It's rhetorical. De Gea is number 1 for me.
We won, boys. We won.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd go with a 7 as well. Like, they had 3 shots on target. He had 2 saves. A very good long ball that was influential in us getting a goal. If I could give a 0.5, I would give a 0.5, but I can't. So I'm just going to go 7. We'll go to the right back, Wan-Bissaka. What did you guys make of him? Because to be fair, first half I was watching him a bit and I was getting a bit frustrated at times because some of his passing was a bit off. His first touch very much needs to improve still. You know, we know what we get from him defensively, even though there was some times when, you know, St. Maximin was spinning him here and there. We know what we get from Wan-Bissaka, but we do want to see more improvement. I'd say 6. I think he was very average. And attacking wise, I don't think he gave us much. What would you say, Kev?
I can't disagree with that, mate. I had 6 in my head. And my main sort of criticism of Wan-Bissaka is as an attacking threat. And this is a player who I think started out as a winger as well, you know, when he was younger. And then you think, how's that happened? A bit like Antonio Valencia, wasn't it? You know, he went from being a right-sided attacking winger, made back into a right back. But then when he become like this right back or right wing back, never attacked. And you were like, you know, you should cut back and you're like, you're supposed to be a winger.
Just his version of crossing, just smash the ball across the penalty.
Oh, 6. I'll go with that, mate. Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah, 6 as well. He's kind of disappointed me this season because he's actually him and Greenwood have had like the only 2 players pretty much off the top of my head that have had a full preseason. And towards the end of the season, I thought his attacking, so to speak, was little bit underrated because I feel like he got more like slated worse than his actual attacking was, because he actually did end up getting a few assists and he did put in some good crosses towards at the end of the season. But so far this season, even like from a defensive standpoint, I feel like he hasn't been the same player, and I don't know what's up with him, but hopefully he'll grow into the season. But yeah, 6.
Jay?
I'm going to be harsh. I've almost looked for the best in Wan-Bissaka. Today, I thought he was caught for pace for Newcastle goal. His crossing today for me was non-existent, so I'm going to go to 5.
I think that's fair. I think honestly a 5 would be fair. We'll go across one then. Raphael Varane made his Old Trafford debut starting, you know, and I think for me, I think positionally, you know, there was a lot that I liked from him. There was times when he pushed up into the midfield and it looked good. He made some good passes here and there. Obviously, there was the goal, but to me, he was 2-on-1. I didn't really think there was much he could do. I think he did well to track back and at least make it a bit more difficult for him in that sense. Jay, what would you give him?
Look, there was 2 corner kicks to come in, and unlike Harry Maguire, he actually headed the ball on target and made contact with the ball, and the keeper had to make a save. I go with a solid 6 because I know Alex said earlier on the goal we conceded, it was a 2v1. Personally, I feel he could have done better, so I'm going to go over to 6 because I judge harshly. So 6 for me today.
That's harsh.
Alex?
I know that is harsh, but I guess we'll see with the rest of Jay's ratings. I'm going to give him a 7. I feel like he's so calm and like collected on the ball and stuff. I absolutely love him. I think he will go down by the end of the season as the best signing we made, and I just feel so confident with him in the team. Like we said, okay, the goal, I don't think you can really. It was like you could say a comedy of errors, but at the same time, it was a risk worth taking because we had to just push everyone up the field, and then he was left outnumbered. But I'll give him a 7. He was worse than De Gea overall, but I feel like it wasn't a bad performance, and he's been such a good signing so far.
Kev?
Harsh from Jay. Honestly, the Roy Keane of the United stand there. That's nonsense. That's 6. 7 for Varane. And listen as well, this where he got caught out or whatever for the goal. That Luke Shaw should have been left back. It was only because we were upside that. When you watch the goal back, Luke Shaw's trying to get back into position. So Varane was basically trying to show him out to the left-hand side. He basically doubled up on. And then he leaves it to the last second to try and get a foot in, which is where the goal comes from. But for me, it was more about Luke Shaw's positional play and not being able to get back. United got caught, but I think it would be harsh to blame Varane on that and say, he got caught out, because if you look at it, Luke Shaw is literally running across the goal as the ball goes into the net, trying to get back into position. So have a bit of that, Jay.
Well, I'd go with
shots fired by Kevin Ashford.
Yeah, well, we'll move on. I do want to start speeding through this. I didn't realize the time just flies by on Ronaldo Day. Nevertheless, though, Harry Maguire, what would you guys give him? I don't know. He was very. I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't think he was. I sort of didn't notice him other than the mistake. He tried to head it a couple times when we had corners, but couldn't really connect with anything. But I'd just give him a 7. I think he was just above average, barely. Yeah, I'd give him a 7 out of 10.
I'd get, because
I got to give him an average 6. I would not give him a 7. No chance. Average 6.
Yeah.
Kev?
6. I'd say just did his job, as Jay would say. Just did his job.
His job, like
that's his job. Yeah, no, fair enough. And Alex, you went 6 as well, right? Yeah.
Well, I was about 6 is a little bit harsh because 6 is average. I think he made that one mistake, but apart from that, like if we could give again 0.5s, I think he was that better than average, but worse than good. So yeah, it'll have to be 6. But yeah,
Luke Shaw. I really like Luke Shaw today. In certain phases of the game, I thought he was very effective. And of course, he got the assist, which got Ronaldo his second goal and got us back into the game. I'd give Luke Shaw an 8. I'd give Luke Shaw an 8. Kev, what would you give him?
7, I would say. 8 It's quite
Alex?
a high score. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. He broke forward for the goal and that, but I'm marking him down slightly for not being able to get back for their goal, which was a critical moment of the game. So I
think that's fair. I think that's fair.
I was going to give him no close. Like, obviously,
What are you going to give him?
I was going to give him a 6, but
Really?
I know he got the assist for Ronaldo. And come on, anyone that watches the show knows I love Luke Shaw. I'm not going to slate Luke Shaw. I think he's, if not the best left back in the league, is the second best left back in the league. So, I'll give him a 7 then, but because of the assist. But overall, I think he can do. It's only because I judge players I like harsher because I know he can do better.
Yeah, fair enough. And Jay?
I actually have to agree with Kevin Ashford at 7, even though Kevin has put me second place in our bromance. And Luke Shaw is in my fantasy team, got the assist, so I'll give him a solid 7.
Yeah, I'm not.
But he was caught for the goal. He was caught for the goal.
My 8 was because of the fantasy points. I'm happy about that one. To be fair, nevertheless.
Did all 4 of us have Ronaldo captain today?
Guys,
I think Jay did.
I had a stinker.
I checked Jay's team.
Yesterday, I changed. So I did my transfers right before the price changes, and so once I did my transfers, I brought Ronaldo in, and then I went to captain him, and I did it, but I didn't press save team, and I went to bed.
That's exactly what Ryan said to me as well. That he did the same thing.
So I remember I'm Ronaldo scored, and I'm listening to Mark's watch along, and he goes, "Oh, let me check my fantasy," and I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, let me check my fantasy." I didn't see the C next to him. I was like, I was in distraught, but.
Actually,
I swapped between Greenwood and Ronaldo 4 times this week with the armband because I was like, is Ronaldo going to start? And in the end, I'm like, I'm just going to go for Ronaldo. And it got man of the match.
Actually, this morning, just when I came back from playing football with my young lad, I capped Ronaldo and put Salah vice captain. But for some reason, it didn't go through. And it also happened to Ryan as well. So maybe there's a bit of a conspiracy there with the FPL. But I did captain Ronaldo, but he's on vice captain. So maybe there's a bit of a thing there going on. I don't know.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think there is. There is. We'll move on to the pivot. Matic, what did you guys rate Matic today? I think he was good in the first half for us. And as you'd expect of Matic, it did sort of filter off towards the end as, the fatigue starts to kick in. Kev, I'll start with you. What did you think Matic was out of 10?
7. I can't disagree with the fact that we know what Matic is about and he will tire as the game goes on, but his defensive duties and what he did, that's Nemanja Matic for you. I'd say 7.
Alex?
Yeah, 7 as well. I sound like I'm a bit like Ricky in the sense of I absolutely love Matic. I love players like that. Like a player I loved before we signed Matic was Carrick, who's a similar sort of player in the sense of like that, just intercepting, and he's such a good passer compared to the rest of our midfielders. So yeah, 7.
And Jake?
First half, I thought Matic was an 8. But on balance of the game, second half, as we've all alluded to, ran out of legs. So I got overall 7.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think 7's fair. Paul Pogba, 2 assists, 7 assists in 4 games. I think when Paul Pogba is clicking, he is unplayable. Like he's shown that this season. Like when he just gets into that rhythm, completely unplayable. To me, I'd give him an 8. I'd give him an 8 for today. Jay, what did you think of Pogba?
Well, how could you? Pogba did his job. 2 assists, 8.
I'm sorry, I can't give a feel. Alex.
I was just thinking there because of 2 other players that I'm gonna spoil alert, give an 8 to. I'm just gonna up his to a 9 because even taking out his 2 assists of it, if you remember, he played like that one ball over the top that was a brilliant chance creation, and then there was another brilliant pass. So that was 4 massive chances he created. So I'm gonna give him a 9 because I'm gonna give 2 others 8, and he's my man of the match.
Totally agree. I can't disagree with that.
Okay, moving forward. We're moving further up the pitch. We'll start off the left. Jadon Sancho. I will give him a 6. I think I saw what he was trying to do in certain phases of the game. I thought he looked more comfortable. He looked like he sort of had a bit about him. He looked more direct. But then there were a couple misplaced passes. He wasn't, there was times when he wasn't pressing. You could see Bruno shouting at him to press. There was times when he just wasn't doing certain things. And I think he is still warming into things. So I'll give him a 6. I thought he was very average. Kev?
you know what, mate? I'll go with you on that. I think he tried. Yeah, he did his job. Yeah,
he tried.
Yeah, he tried. He did bits. I don't know. Yes, 6. But we're saying 6 is average. So I don't think Jadon Sancho was immense. I wouldn't say he was above average. I wouldn't say he was below average. I think it's going to take him time to kind of settle in and stuff. So I'll go with that. Maybe some people might think that's harsh.
Alex, I really want to know what you want to say.
You boys just put me in the firing line because I was going to give him a 5. Like, don't get me wrong, I was happy when we signed him, and I am happy that we signed him. But it's a weird thing to say because he is English, but you have to remember he actually hasn't played in the Premier League, so like he's as fresh to the Premier League as Varane is, really. And I feel like if you base it off his like Dortmund form and everything, then you have to set like certain standards. And okay, he's just come off an injury, he's at a new league, so I'm not losing faith in him. But I feel like it wasn't a great performance. He didn't really do anything. But with that said, it was still his best performance he's had so far for United. But it still wasn't anything special. But I'm not losing faith in him. But he's going to need time to adapt.
Yeah, fair enough. Jay?
Yeah, look, I've got to mirror what Alex, yourself, and Kevin said. You got to get time to adapt. Solid 6. I'm just glad the fact that we have Ronaldo now, so the limelight and pressure has been removed from Sancho. If we are in a non-Ronaldo reality, I think the fan base would probably be already losing their shit about Sancho, which is unfair. It's unfair.
100%.
Young lad, early 20s, massive price tag. And he will come good. I've got no question. He will be a star for us. But today he's a 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Bruno Fernandes, I'd give him an 8 just because I really liked his goal. I thought by his standards, and once again, I feel like people will find a way to take this the wrong way. You know, I'm not saying he was bad today, but by his standards, I don't think it was his best game, right? But he was still very effective for us in certain phases of the game. Of course, he scored that goal, which, you know, put the knife in the coffin. So I'd give him an 8. Kev?
Totally agree. 8. Cannot disagree with that. Fantastic finish. 8.
Alex?
I was going to give him a 7 because he pissed me off a lot in the first half of some of the stupid errors he was making and passes he was making. But obviously the goal, and it just shows the idiots that are saying like, oh, now he's not going to be taking penalties, that he's going to end the season with like 5 goals or whatever. He's now got 4 open play goals in 4 games. So shut up.
Yeah. Anyway, Jay.
Guys, obviously last season I made no secret of my love for Bruno. I think the first half maybe he was trying a bit too hard to prove this is still my house. 25th minute, he tries to do that Beckham-esque chip. It was. Did you see that shit?
When I
like
saw
25th minute. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he also, before that, had 2 speculative shots. So had Bruno not taken his goal today with a plum, I'd be marking him as a 7. But the very fact that he scored, I'm going to give him an 8. And, you know, if you were a centre-back and you see going forward, you got Pogba, Ronaldo, Bruno running at you, you're thinking, oh, shit, who do I mark? This is a phenomenal way to be, guys, our front 3. So today, that goal, 8.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I would say, Mason Greenwood. What did you guys think of Mason Greenwood today? You know, I'll start with you, Alex, because, you know, he's your favourite player. And also, I'll let you take this one.
I was going to give him an 8 because, like Jay said, he was involved in 2 of the goals. Like, he's now secured us, like, before this game, 7 points of the in terms of like being the scorer that ends up winning the points. And then what was it for Ronaldo's first to score? He was a massive part in it. It went down as a assist somehow on FPL, so I assume that will go down as an assist on the official Premier League stats. And then he obviously played a big part of Bruno's goal, so I'm going to give him an 8. And it just looks, when he's on the ball, he so rarely like messes up, and he just seems so dangerous every time he gets it. And to think he's 19 years old and he just looks this dangerous already, it's going to be a massive season for him.
Yeah, I agree. Jay, what did you make of Mason Greenwood today?
Well, obviously, top of the show, I alluded to a lot of fans were looking at his contribution into 2 goals. Solid 8. Right now, for me, Mason Greenwood is undroppable. Solid 8.
Agreed. Kev?
Yeah, can't disagree with that. Certainly not going to try and be controversial, yeah, mate.
Well then, that leaves one person, because I don't want to do the bench, but that leaves one person. CR7. He is inevitable. He scored 2 goals. A brace. I predicted to get a brace. A brace, not the flashiest of goals by any means, but still good goals, showing what he is now as a player, and very much was just a catalyst for how amazing we were today. Let me know, guys. What did you think of flipping Cristiano Ronaldo? Bloody hell. CR7. Kev, we'll start with you. Your new love life has blossomed into a beautiful thing. What did you make of your new partner?
Sorry, Jay. Can I give 157? For the first time ever, just given 157. Listen, 2 goals, man of the match for me. 9.
Yeah. Alex?
I'm giving him an 8 because I gave Pogba my man of the match, but just to touch on it again, it seems insane that I watched this guy win the Ballon d'Or as a teenager and I'm now in my 30s and seeing him boss it again. And there's so much more left in the tank, and anyone that's written him off, I hope they're already shutting up. And if they're not shutting up yet, by the next month, they will. So it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Plus, I know we're not allowed 0.5s, but if you could, would it be an 8.5 or would it still be an 8? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, I'll give him an 8.5, so just over Mason. But like I said, Pogba was my man of the match. So
I just want to know. Jay?
Guys, I never thought that I would have the pleasure this season, as in January, February, of bringing my son to a Trafford to watch Ronaldo, the GOAT, and Kevin's bromance. Guys, I gotta go with a 9. It can't be a 10 because you can get a hat trick, you can get an assist. So 9. And guys, just think about today, no Ronaldo today, we could have stuttered and stammered and drawn 1-1 to a shit Newcastle. Just let that sit with you there for a second.
Yeah. And when you actually look at it, he had 2 shots on target. He had 2 shots. No, he had more than 2 shots because he was trying some funky stuff earlier. But he had 2 shots on target, 2 goals, right? It's not like he was flooded with chances, but he makes them count, and that's what Ronaldo does. You know what I mean?
To be fair, one thing that I always do and that I always say on this show when we do these ratings is that I base my ratings off of the player. And when we're basing it off one of the best players of all time, I think a 9 is a bit high. Because he's literally one of the best players of the. So it's standard. Okay. It's standard.
That's
so he's gonna score a hat trick for us. He has 1 hat trick his entire career for us, and it's at Newcastle. He's gonna get at least, I reckon, 2, 3, 4 hat tricks for us in his late 30s.
I hear what you're saying, because I think by his standards, it's definitely not his best game or anywhere near his best game by his standards. But I'd still agree. I think a 9 is just for just being CR7. Yeah. Guys, this was a much longer episode as usual, but it's Ronaldo Day, so why not? You guys aren't complaining. It's Ronaldo Day. Enjoy the day. Hope you have a wonderful evening. I don't know what Kev's going to say to his wife, because when she discovers all this, she won't be too happy, I'll tell you that much.
I've already had the eyes. She keeps peering round as if to say, the taxi is booked. What are you doing? I'm like, ratings, man. No. Taxi's circling the block about 10 times, just waiting.
I won't keep you for any longer. Up the Mayo, Jay.
Actually, Levin, on that, I just checked my Twitter there. In life, there's sure things: death, taxes, and Mayo, bottling, and All Ireland. We'll leave it there. So
the curse continues.
The curse continues.
Exactly.
Alex, it's always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure talking ball with you.
Brilliant, and let's look forward to the next one. Young boys, only a few days to wait, boys.
Yes. It's gonna be a good game. I wonder who's gonna start there. Maybe Donny van de Beek will finally get his chance. Nevertheless, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like the video, comment down below what you made of CR7 Day. We will see you all soon. Good evening. Have a nice night.